Oh, okay.
It's in progress right now. You're looking at it. We're looking at it at the same time. And Zoe, we were told this was like an emergency response or some
Yeah.
kind of tow truck in the
One
front.
of those roadside assistance trucks, and you can see they're just kind of going through this neighborhood. It's unclear how this chase started, but at this point, you can see multiple police officers just tailing that truck at this
Right.
moment. I'm not sure which police department that is. Originally, we heard from Prince George's County Police. You can see one of
You
their
can see-
cruisers parked to the left. There we go. We're
They're,
kind
they're
of
trying to
cornering.
block him in to try to keep him from going. And
And you have Maryland State Police.
And you got
There's
other-
troopers as well.
and look, so you've got all these other people on the road too that are trying to get out of the way.
Yeah, so let's see. Obviously, we're trying to see how this will unfold, how this will end. They have been, do we know at all how long this chase has been underway?
And do we know where this is, friends? Okay, so
It's
this
been
has been
underway.
going on for 15 minutes
Yeah,
now.
roughly 15 minutes or so. And they're just, when you deal with chases like this, we always have that debate about whether or not it's safe to do so. In this case right here, you have them navigating the streets of this neighborhood. We just saw there a moment ago, other cars on the road. You have police blocking some of those entrances to other areas of this neighborhood to make sure people can stay safe and they're out of the way.
Well,
So,
and
Lorenzo
usually
and
when we
Leslie,
see-
it's Adam Longo in the newsroom. We've been watching this unfold for about the past 20 minutes. Sorry to just cut in, but this was not a chase involving Maryland State Police or Prince George's County Police until about 10 minutes ago. All we do know is that this is an MDOT emergency response vehicle. It was driving around. Our chopper was following it because we got a hint that police were looking for this vehicle. They've engaged it just within the past 10 minutes, and this vehicle, before we came on air, had made some evasive maneuvers through some parking lots. It drove through a grassy field, impacting some power lines in an attempt to evade and escape the officers that are chasing it. So we don't know exactly how this began. This vehicle has been on Route 29. It's been on 95 southbound. It got off at Powder Mill, and you can see this chase is now continuing. It started out in Calverton. Now we're in the area of around Beltsville and Greenbelt. So I can't tell you exactly where this is right now, but you can see that Maryland State Police in hot pursuit of this vehicle, which has yet to impact any police vehicles or any other vehicles. You can see Maryland State Police moving in here, but they've yet to be able to get in front of this vehicle and pin it in.
Yeah, and what makes it difficult as well, I'm assuming, is because you're talking about a roadside assistance truck with flashing lights. So a lot of those folks are also just trying to move out of the way as well.
Yeah, and it's hard to even tell how fast this vehicle is going, but you can see clearly the drivers that are along this stretch of road, wherever this driver is, know that something is going on enough to get out of the way.
Yeah, so I'm assuming at this point as well, you're talking about a chase involving multiple jurisdictions. So they're probably phoning some of the other police departments in our area just in case this moves out of the region as well. And
So we do
Go
know
ahead,
that
Adam.
Maryland State Police is the lead agency here that has initiated this pursuit, and that Prince George's County Police, because it there is in the county, they've been asked to assist. So you have a number of officers just sort of converging in and around this area in an attempt to bring this vehicle to a stop, but they've so far been unsuccessful in even trying to get in front of this vehicle. When we were watching it just a few minutes ago, it was in the parking lot of some office building. It looked as though officers might have been able to box him in, but that's when this vehicle went out of the parking lot and into this grassy field to get away. Hopefully we can get that video and turn it around for you in the next couple of minutes, but it looks as this. Every time it looks like the police might be in a position to be able to pin this vehicle in or stop it, whoever is driving this vehicle is able to get away.
You know, it could be that the people on the road may not actually realize this is a chase because this is an emergency response vehicle. It's got lights on. It's moving at the same pace with the other police cars that are clearly trying to catch up with it. That looks like a Maryland State Police vehicle behind it. But if you're on the road, you might not actually realize this is a chase.
Right.
You know, you might think this is just somebody trying to get somewhere. Now, of course, you see this maneuver here. They tried this before, and the driver of the emergency vehicle was able to outmaneuver the trucks that were trying to kind of pin him in. And
yeah,
it
so
looks
here
like
we
they've
are.
got
We
him
have a
here right
stop.
here.
Maybe this will work, but we're not
Let's
sure.
see. Looks like the driver is still trying to maneuver, trying to get around, going on
so
the
this
side of the road. So this is clearly intentional.
Yeah, and this is the most aggressive
Oh, there it
we've
is.
seen the
That's
drive
the
at
first
this point.
impact we've seen
Yeah.
on another vehicle so far.
And okay, so at this point, you have to wonder how much longer this can go. You're driving through some of the terrain here. Okay, so we're back on the road again.
So, and we can say here that this roadside assistance truck was stolen. So we don't know where it was stolen from or where the initial point of entry was or whether the person who called for help is the person that's now in this vehicle. But
Yeah.
we know it started in Calverton, Maryland. And this has been going on and moving throughout the area, as Adam said, I-95, Route 29 in the Beltsville area. And cars are trying to get out of the way. If you're just joining us now, we are following what appears to be a police pursuit in Maryland. This is an emergency vehicle which was supposed to be dispatching to help someone on the side of the road. Somehow it gets jacked, right? It gets stolen, and somebody's behind the wheel now trying to outrun several jurisdictions of police.
Yeah, and I'm trying to read the side of this truck as well. I can't make out whether or not it says Maryland Department of Transportation.
It does.
Somehow, okay. So that it is a state truck that was taken here.
It says emergency patrol on the side.
And so this person, whoever this is driving it, I'm assuming some of these officers who have been able to tail it, get on the side of it as well, have identified the person. They've been able to sort of get a lookout to understand who the person is in the driver's seat, just navigating through traffic.
It is 6:11 on a Friday evening, rush hour traffic, folks trying to get home, and there is quite a bit of activity that people here did not anticipate. This is a police pursuit you are looking at right here. That yellow truck right there is an emergency response vehicle for MDOT. It was stolen from a location, and this police pursuit started in Calverton, Maryland. It involves multiple jurisdictions trying to stop the driver, who has been able to outmaneuver them several times. First, we saw him get sort of cornered in one area. He was able to maneuver. Then they tried to corner him somewhere else. He appeared to go off on some rugged terrain and kept going. And so are the police, still trying to catch up with him. And it looked like, Zoe, pretty close behind him was a Maryland State Police trooper.
Yeah, and you have Prince George's County police officers as well. And we've talked about this a lot before. When you make that decision to chase a suspect in situations like this, because you're talking about rush hour as well on a Friday. A lot of folks heading home. So when is it safe to do so? In this case, police from multiple jurisdictions felt that they had to go after the person in this truck to stop them. We're pulling up to a gas station right now. Let's see what's going to happen here.
Looks like he's using this as a
To
way
make
to
a
kind of
U-turn.
turn around and go back in the opposite direction. Boy, it is clear that whoever's driving this vehicle
And he
appears
just
to
hit
know
the
where
cruiser,
they're
so
going.
this is on the right.
Okay.
He's just pushing that out of the way.
Holy cow.
Wow. This is the first time we've seen this kind of happen in this pursuit.
Saw a Montgomery County cruiser in there as well, not engaged by the suspect. And now it's a matter of, you see how aggressive the suspect is getting with the vehicle, so do the police authorities, in an attempt to bring this to a close, match that aggression in trying to get this person stopped.
Yeah, and you know, we have seen this driver. Okay, so now we're pushing other cars away. Yeah, initially it was just about police and getting out of the way and sort of delicately going through traffic here, but you see now this is taking an aggressive turn. And this is when it gets dangerous.
Yeah, this is when it gets dangerous. If he's clearly very unpredictable, officers are trying to catch up to him, cars are trying to move over, but for those who may not realize that this is a pursuit, they may see this emergency vehicle and think they have a moment to get over, and clearly what we've seen is they do not.
One thing that's a problem here too, this is a big, heavy-duty truck. You saw how it just pushed that Maryland State Police SUV just to the side with ease. So this would be a very difficult vehicle to wrangle compared to, some of the other vehicles that we might see, on internet videos that cops are able to pull pit maneuvers and take out. This is a much heavier vehicle, going to be harder to get this vehicle stopped.
And Adam, you were saying that this began, so before we brought this to you live, the folks at home, you were watching this for what, roughly 20 minutes? So this has been going on for quite some time.
Oh, there he is getting at two other cars now, moving literally.
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
This has gotten really, really serious. Two cars there in the intersection have been smashed
Looks like we just went through Columbia Road.
Okay.
So
Hit another car. And another car. These cars are trying to get out of the way. They seem to sense that something is happening here.
And so, Adam, how long so roughly 20 minutes back to that point?
Yeah, so now we're about at the 25 minute mark. So when I first came attuned to this, there's talk in the newsroom, and we haven't been able to exactly confirm what precipitated this exactly, but this vehicle was on its own for some time without any police cars in tow behind it. Our chopper was following it because we got word that something had happened here, that the police were looking out for this vehicle, and it was stopping at stop signs, it was obeying the rules of the road, staying in the lanes, and as the officers have now engaged, this suspect has become increasingly more erratic in trying to evade from the authorities.
All right, so Zoe, you kind of brought this up. We don't see this every day here, and so there are conversations about when police pursuits can actually be initiated. And when you look at Maryland, officers are apparently they are authorized to pursue if it appears that somebody who has been given an appropriate signal to stop, who has been told to stop by a law enforcement officer, does that, and this is clearly not happening.
Yeah, so he went into this neighborhood, it appears, tried to circle around, and we have all these officers here lined up, sort of, they're staying out of his way. He just went right on by those two Maryland State Troopers.
Unless they didn't anticipate him coming in that direction. This appears to be someone, and Adam, you've been watching this longer than we are, but this person clearly seems to know a bit of the terrain here. They know where they're going.
It would appear that way from all the driving that we've seen through office parks and some of the main roads and now all these secondary roads, and the fact that he's been able to escape going into a parking lot and then going into a cul-de-sac and being able to get back out is kind of perplexing. But you have to imagine that the officers, they have their rules of engagement and what they're going to do. I mean, this looks like a residential area, so is this the place that you want to stop somebody? I mean, we haven't heard anything about the suspect potentially being armed, but if that is the case, is that a place where you want to try to bring this chase to a stop in a residential area?
So it looks like we're at the end of
another cul-de-sac here.
But once again, we're making a U-turn, and you have some of those officers. Those of you watching at home, you've noticed they're blocking off some of those streets. Presumably, in this case, they're trying to keep people out of the path of this driver.
Right.
So you're working on not only capturing this person, this driver, but you're trying to make sure folks are staying safe as well.
Yeah, we've seen several different scenes. So they've got this roadside assistant truck being reported stolen, still on the run.
By the way.
Stop for just a moment here. He has hit at least 5 to 6 vehicles as we could count, so leaving that wreckage in the wake of what happened. Police have to respond to those areas and make sure they are okay. They, in the meantime, are trying to get this driver to stop the vehicle, which, as you mentioned, Zoe, has happened, but to actually get this driver out of there so they can get rid of the danger that's out on the roads.
And then, okay, so you've seen this play out already and how this person is driving through the streets of this area. Who knows what's inside of the truck? That's going to be the other issue. When do you approach? How close can you get? So yes, we see this truck stopped at this point, and you're wondering why officers may not have moved in already.
Right.
They're trying to assess the threat at this point. The video you're looking at here was recorded earlier on the left, approaching a gas station there, making a U-turn, going back out into the streets. Where you're looking at on your right is what's happening in real time. That is live.
And we've seen this pursuit sort of titrate up in the aggression of the driver, right? Hitting one vehicle there, pushing that state police vehicle over to maneuver out of that area, heading into other intersections, hitting other drivers, pushing them out of the way, people who seem to be trying to get out of the way, and then other people, unsuspected, can't really tell what's happening, but trying to get out of the way, and they weren't able to do that either. So this, again, is some video, if you're joining us on the left, of the pursuit when it was in action. This is an emergency response vehicle that has hit a Maryland police vehicle there on the left. Then it was sort of on the run, on the move, maneuvering here, hitting cars as it goes. And then on the right, Zoe, we see this vehicle has stopped, and we're waiting to see what's happening there.
Yeah. So this picture on the right is by White Oak, the MVA. That's where we're stationed right now, where that driver has come to a stop. And Adam, just for some context here, originally you said we were just watching this truck. It was just driving without police behind it. We got word that the vehicle was stolen. That was it. Right.
So this happened, we started monitoring it in Calverton. Sky 9 was over the scene of this vehicle, which was driving. Other cars were passing it on the road. It just looked like a roadside emergency vehicle with its lights on, driving down the road. There were no police cars in pursuit at that point. Even at that point, we're told that the Maryland State Police helicopter was not even involved. It was simply the news chopper that was overhead following this. And then as it came closer to when we eventually went on air with this, that's when this vehicle started to be pursued by officers. Everything that you've seen play out on our air is all of the impacts that the vehicle has made, and now it's moving again. We're on the move again here. But every single impact it's made with other vehicles, and I've counted at least 10 of them so far, we've all seen it. Nothing else happened before we actually came to air except for this vehicle evading police through an office center parking lot, and it impacted some power lines as it drove over a grassy field out of this parking lot in an attempt to get away from the officers who were following.
Hey, Ads, you were just saying something about White Oak. Do we think he's in the White Oak area right now? Sort of White Oak, Silver Spring, Route 29 in that area?
That would make sense. It's hard to follow as the chopper has been so intently focused very close in on it, but we do know that this started in Calverton. It was on Route 29. Then we saw the suspect get off onto 95 southbound and get off onto Powder Mill. So that's in the Beltsville, White Oak area. So yeah, White Oak would be, closer to Silver Spring, Route 29. So it looks like it could be in that area.
Yeah, it looks like we're on Route 29 at this point, and we just noticed the driver just go by a couple of officers there, and you're back on the highway again.
At 29, which of course is a major thoroughfare between the DC area and Baltimore. A lot of folks would be driving this way during their rush hour trip home. It doesn't look like there are very many vehicles where this vehicle is right now, which suggests that maybe people have some understanding that something is going on here and they need to get out of the way.
Yeah, so we talked a minute ago about some of those officers clearing the area, trying to close some of these roads. The assumption here is that they assumed he was going to go back out onto the highway, so they're trying to close down as much as they can. But at this point, you have to wonder what their strategy is to try and get the driver to stop.
Yeah, because he stopped, but clearly, as you can see here, the driver has continued to go. And we say we don't actually know who is in this vehicle. We don't know where this vehicle, this emergency dispatch vehicle, was dispatched to, or if it even was. We're not sure how this actual stolen vehicle on the road taking off, how this actually began. So we're watching this as this unfolds, and we are trying to put the details together as much as we can as we see this happening. Ads, are you hearing or seeing anything else in there?
So I'm standing right next to WSA 9 assignment desk, so as soon as information's coming in, I'll be able to bring it to you. But I just want to point out, you see the sparks from the chains that are dragging on the rear of that vehicle. That wasn't there until this vehicle made that evasive maneuver to get away from police out of an office center parking lot and went into this grassy area. It clipped a whole bunch of power lines. There was a whole bunch of sparking, and that dislodged some of the things in the rear of the vehicle, and that's what we're seeing there, those channels.
I was going to say, you could see it moving too.
But what's kind of surprising as well is you were touching on this earlier, Les. We're talking about Route 29 here. I'm assuming this is what we're traveling down right now. There wasn't much traffic before, but now we're starting to get into an area where you are dealing with heavier traffic. We're at a light here, so you're pushing more of those cars and folks out of the way.
Yeah, so Prelude Drive. All right, so I know where we are here now. Now he is heading in the direction of, sort of Columbia, Maryland, right? So you're on 29.
Headed north.
You've just come through downtown, Silver Spring, headed out more toward the Columbia area, the Beltsville area, and you can see lots of cars kind of moving out of the way. He's got a lot of terrain to move. And that's sort of like a 2 or 3 lane highway at that point. He's going to pass gas stations. He's going to pass, there's the gas station. He's going to pass a shopping center on the right-hand side. That's where the Trader Joe's is, if that's a landmark that people may know. Crossing the road, going onto the opposite side of traffic now.
Oh boy, this is
trying to get out of the way. This is a problem.
So this is what we saw earlier. They were just sort of letting this driver have it, go at it. But this is where they're probably, look at this
Whoa,
here.
hit another car.
Yeah, they're going to have to bring this to a stop a lot sooner as you look at this driver get more
hitting
aggressive.
Another car, 3 more cars, 4 cars, 5 cars, doing another maneuver to go back onto 29. Oh, it looks like he stopped at this
so
tree.
I don't know if he's stuck or stopped. Nope, he's trying to back out of there. Again, so this all started with a report of a stolen truck, right, Adam? This is how so we have officers approaching right now.
They appear to be opening the door. Are they pulling him out of the car?
Looks like they're going to try to pull him out of the car. We
Guns
saw it
drawn.
moving just a bit. Those guns are drawn. I'm not sure if we're going to cut away.
It looks like they're trying to break the back window.
They're trying to get in somehow because, as you saw a minute ago, this is truly a threat right here when you have a driver just maneuvering the streets like this with a lot of traffic out on the roads in such a busy part of town as well. Again, you have the K9 dogs on scene as well. A lot of those officers from Maryland State Police. You had Prince George's County Police a little earlier on the scene. A number of jurisdictions working to to bring this driver to a stop. They're
I
trying to
can't-
break through
I
the
can't
glass
tell
to
that
get
there's
in.
any movement in the car right now. I mean, I'm up on the screen right now, ads. I don't know if you can see
Yeah,
it
you
too.
see them.
I
you
can't see
them,
it any
they're,
better.
They're hitting the window
Yeah,
to
it's
try to
on-
get inside.
But as far as motion behind the driver's wheel, I can't see any. And you know what has to be scary for officers at this point, because we don't know if this suspect was armed. We don't know how
Right.
he or she took control of this vehicle.
And also how if this vehicle is going to stay there, stay
Right.
in place.
Did he shift it into a different gear?
Right.
Is he
So
even still
okay,
moving?
so
There
we
he is,
are
going
in the truck,
in.
We're pulling him out.
We're watching this together. This is roadside assistance truck was reported stolen. It's off 29 right now
And
on
so
the
this,
side of the road. Police are responding.
and it looks like they have the person, the driver. And this all began, what, shortly before 5 o'clock, Adam, when we were watching this unfold?
Yeah, that's right. About
He's on the ground
5:15,
now,
5:20.
Okay.
That's when we first got word
on the
that there
ground.
was a lookout for this vehicle.
And we saw him crashing into some of those other cars before. You're just hoping those folks are okay as well. So you have